You cut your finger while cooking. You see the skin separate before you feel anything. There's a brief pause where your mind registers, that should hurt. You rinse it. You watch it. You wait. The sting is late, or faint, or strangely absent. It's not that you don't understand what happened. You do. There's just no sharp rush to match it. Something similar can happen in other places. An argument shifts. A sentence lands heavier than expected. Someone says something that changes the air in the room. You notice it immediately in other people. The tightening, the quick inhale, the silence that follows. You understand this is the part where it hurts. Inside, though, it's mostly still. Not numb in a dramatic way, not blank, just quiet. And you're aware that it's quiet. You might even glance at yourself internally, checking for a reaction, waiting for the wave that used to come. Sometimes it doesn't. It's hard to say when that changed. There may have been a time when things hit harder, when embarrassment burned, when rejection felt physical, when conflict left a trace in your body for hours. Now it passes through more cleanly. You see it, you process it, you continue. Other people seem to move with sharper signals. When something hurts, it shows. It interrupts them. It demands expression. Their faces reveal it before they speak. You can recognize all of that. You just don't always mirror it. From the outside, that can look like calm, or composure, or distance. You've probably been described as steady, maybe even unbothered. Inside, it doesn't feel like a performance. It feels more like a lowered volume. There are moments when that quiet feels useful. In tense situations, you don't get swept away. When someone else spirals, you remain measured. When something goes wrong, you assess it before reacting. It's almost as if there's space between the event and your response. But there are other moments, usually later, when you wonder about that space. When something significant happens and you think, shouldn't this be affecting me more? You don't feel devastated. You don't feel shattered. You feel intact. And intact can be confusing, because pain is often treated as proof. Proof that something mattered. Proof that you cared. Proof that you were invested. When the pain doesn't show up loudly, it can feel like a missing confirmation. You may replay moments in your head, not because they wounded you, but because you're trying to locate the sensation, trying to find where it landed. Sometimes it lands quietly, in your sleep, in your appetite, in the way you withdraw slightly without announcing it. Not sharp, just subtle. There are different ways a system can learn to respond. If strong reactions were once overwhelming or useless or unsafe, something inside might have adjusted. Not in a dramatic, cinematic way, more like a dimmer switch slowly turned down over time. After enough intensity, the body sometimes stops reacting with intensity. It steadies itself. You might not remember deciding to do that. It may not have felt like a decision at all. It just became the way you move through things. When someone raises their voice, you track the pattern instead of absorbing the heat. When something ends, you think about the structure of it before you feel the loss of it. You understand what's happening. You just don't dissolve into it. There are moments when that feels like strength, and there are moments when it feels like distance. When nothing seems to pierce you the way it once did, it's difficult to tell whether that's growth or withdrawal. Whether you've become grounded or just guarded. It's not a question you necessarily answer. It just sits there quietly. You still care, that part is clear. You think deeply, you notice details, you remember things other people forget. The absence of visible pain doesn't mean the absence of meaning. If anything, meaning might run deeper now. It just doesn't erupt. Instead of spikes, there are undercurrents. Instead of dramatic waves, there are slow shifts that take time to surface. a heaviness that appears later, a slight detachment that lingers longer than expected. Not nothing, just different. Some people experience life at full intensity, close to the surface of every sensation. Others seem to live a few layers below that surface, where everything is filtered, steadier, less reactive. You may recognize yourself in the second pattern, not because you lack feeling, but because feeling no longer announces itself loudly. If pain has grown quieter in your life, it may not have disappeared. It may have changed shape, changed timing, changed language. And maybe the real difference isn't whether you feel enough. Maybe it's that you feel in a way that doesn't always match what others expect to see. There's something strangely private about that. You move through sharp moments without visible fractures. You stay composed when others crack. And sometimes, later, you sit alone and wonder where everything actually went. Maybe it went somewhere deeper. Or maybe it never needed to break you to be real. If your pain now feels more like information than impact, more like observation than shock, what does that say about the way you've adapted? And if there are times when everything feels almost too quiet inside, what kind of experiences would even reach you now? There's another side to this, the people who feel everything too intensely, who can't seem to lower the volume at all. That contrast is quieter than it looks.